There's something you haven't said out loud, something you've been quietly sensing but can't quite explain. It's not sadness, it's not anxiety, it's not fear. It's this strange floating emptiness, like you've outgrown your own skin, like you're watching your life from the outside, and everything you used to be, the voice, the drive, the rhythm, feels like it belonged to someone else. You keep trying to push through. You make the to-do list. You follow the habits. You show up like you're supposed to. But underneath it all, something feels missing. Not broken, not wrong, just no longer alive. And that's not because you're lost. It's because the version of you that was built to survive your old reality has already started to dissolve. You don't resonate with the noise anymore. You can't force what's gone to return. And even though nothing looks different on the surface, you know, deep in your body, that everything has changed. This isn't burnout. This isn't confusion. This is the moment in your evolution where the mask falls off and you realize it was never your face. You're not falling apart. You're falling out of alignment with who you never truly were. And now, all that's left to ask is, will you follow the pull or keep performing the echo of a self that's already gone silent? The world around you hasn't collapsed, but the energetic structure beneath it has, and your nervous system knows it, even if your mind doesn't have words for it yet. You may have noticed, your routines feel mechanical, your passions feel dim. The people and places you used to feel connected to now feel like distant echoes. You're not failing, you're not broken, you're experiencing a frequency disconnection. What you used to call your life wasn't just a set of actions or habits. It was an energetic grid, a field of agreements, unconscious roles, inherited beliefs, and silent rules you lived by. And that grid? It's collapsing. Not with chaos, but with quiet, a thinning, a fading, a silent unhooking from everything you thought was you. This is why you feel no urgency to push forward, no clarity around what you want, no resonance with what used to excite you, a strange desire to be alone, still unseen, because the field that held your old self in place is no longer stable, and your system has already begun detaching from it. Here's the paradox. Your detachment isn't dysfunction, it's energetic intelligence. You're being pulled away from false momentum, away from timelines that only survived through force, away from identities that were never created from truth, only from necessity. And what you're walking into now doesn't respond to effort, it responds to frequency. You can't perform your way through this shift. You can only listen, because what's fading from your life isn't punishing you, it's clearing space for a reality that can only hold what's fully aligned. You're not being emptied for no reason. You're being stripped of what was built on performance, projection, and pretense. And in that space of unfamiliar stillness, you're being returned to what's real. Not what's comfortable, not what's expected, but what can finally last. Let's tell the truth now. You're not exhausted because of how much you've done. You're exhausted because of how long you've held together a version of yourself that no longer exists. You're not stuck. You're unplugged from the system, the self, the stories that no longer run on your current frequency. And what you're feeling isn't confusion. It's the absence of old programming. You spent years building an identity that could function inside a distorted field. An identity designed to succeed in survival. One that knew how to be productive, liked, useful, even spiritual, as long as it kept you from being fully honest. But now the conditions that required that identity are gone, and the structure that held it in place is thinning. So your nervous system is left holding a shape that no longer matches your soul. That's why everything feels off. You don't want what you used to want. You can't fake what you used to perform. Even the sound of your own inner voice feels strange. This is what happens when the identity collapses. Not in theory, but in your breath, your bones, your field. You'll feel a desire to withdraw, but no reason why. A sense of floating just outside your own life. Resistance to movement, even when you know what to do. Emotions without clear stories. The urge to clear your space, say less, delete everything, walk away. This isn't regression. It's resonance breaking from distortion. Your body is trying to process a frequency it's never had to hold without tension. Your mind is trying to navigate life without the performance it was trained to sustain. Your field is shedding loops that once kept you functioning, but never allowed you to feel fully here. And now, you're in the space between. no longer stabilized by the old self, not yet rooted in the new. That space feels empty, but it's sacred. Because what's being rebuilt in you now won't be held together by fear. It won't be shaped by need. It won't be optimized for approval. It will be slow, it will be subtle, and it will be real. But only if you let the collapse complete. Only if you stop trying to rebuild the moment the silence becomes uncomfortable. Because in that silence, your real voice is returning. And it doesn't need validation, it needs space. This process doesn't move in a straight line. It spirals, it folds in on itself, it pauses, reverses, dissolves, but it follows a rhythm. And once you recognize it, you stop asking what's wrong and start listening to what's releasing. Here are the 5 stages of identity collapse. You may be in one. You may be moving through all of them at once. That's not chaos. That's healing in motion. 1. The dissonance. You begin to feel off, not broken, not in pain, just no longer at home in your own rhythm. Conversations feel scripted. Your smile feels heavy. Even joy doesn't land where it used to. You look around and think, this life still looks like mine, but I can't feel myself in it anymore. This is where the field begins to disconnect. Not violently, quietly, as if something beneath the surface is loosening its grip. 2. The hollowing. This is the phase most mistake for depression. It's not. It's the absence of performance. You lose motivation. Not because you're lazy, because the identity that had motivation was performative. You don't want to socialize. You don't want to explain yourself. You don't even want to be perceived. Your system is conserving energy. Because what's being built next will require full authenticity, and there's no bandwidth left for pretending. 3. The exposure. With the noise gone, the truth rises. Memories, wounds, habits you thought were healed, patterns you swore you'd left behind. They come back, not to punish, but to finally be seen without judgment. You may feel emotional for no reason, triggered by small things. Sensitive to noise, light, people. This is your field detoxing. Not from what happened, but from what was never felt fully at the time it did. Your job isn't to fix it. Your job is to feel it without performing around it. 4. The separation. Now you begin to move differently. You respond slower. You opt out of conversations you would have forced yourself through before. You start saying no without guilt. You stop chasing people who never really met you. You're not isolating. You're energetically filtering. And what falls away now was never built to stay. This phase feels cold, but it's not numbness. It's clarity. 5. The reformation. And then, slowly, a new voice rises. It doesn't arrive with confidence. It arrives with neutrality. You don't feel powerful. You feel peaceful. Not the peace of avoidance. The peace of not pretending anymore. You still don't have a full vision, but your body knows what's a yes, and more importantly, what's a no. This is the first time you don't feel like you're building anything. You're just being, and somehow that feels more solid than any identity ever did. These 5 stages don't come with fanfare. They don't feel like breakthroughs. They feel like dissolving. They feel like silence. They feel like stepping out of a room you didn't know you were locked in. But they are your return to a self that no longer negotiates its frequency just to be seen. And from here, everything real begins. You don't need a plan. You don't need motivation. You don't even need clarity right now. What you need is a container. A way to hold the energy that's moving through you without collapsing into old patterns or identities. Here are 7 practices to help you stabilize your system as the false self dissolves and the real you begins to take shape. 1. Claim your energy before the world touches you. The moment you wake up, don't open your phone. Don't check notifications. Don't give your field away. Sit up in bed. Place one hand over your chest, the other on your belly. Close your eyes. And say quietly, I return to myself. I anchor my energy. I move through today from truth. Do this before anything external touches you. It sets the tone for everything that follows. 2. Let yourself move slower than you think. Speed is how your old self stayed in control. Slowness is how your real self integrates. So walk slower, speak slower, eat slower, breathe slower. Notice the urge to rush. Ask what fear is underneath it. Then choose presence instead of panic. Slowness is not stagnation. It's recalibration. 3. One act of daily integrity. Ask yourself every day, what action would restore trust between me and myself? Then do it. It might be resting. It might be saying no. It might be turning your phone off. It might be being honest with someone who's never seen the real you. It doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be true. 4. Reclaim your space, one corner at a time. Your environment either supports your frequency or drags it down. Don't try to clean everything at once. Just pick one drawer, one folder, one email chain, one closet. Ask, does this belong to the version of me I'm becoming? If not, release it. Energetic clarity begins in the physical. 5. Protect your response time. You don't owe anyone an instant reply. You don't owe anyone constant availability. When something triggers you, pause, breathe, ask, is this calling for a response or is it pulling me out of resonance? Let stillness answer for you, not reactivity. 6. Evening reset. You can't sleep deeply if you're still carrying the static of the day. Before bed, sit in stillness. Place your hands on your body. Speak softly. I release what I carried today. I return what's not mine. I close this loop in peace. Then visualize light surrounding you, clearing, calming, quieting. Let sleep be integration, not escape. 7. Speak like you trust the process. Words build energy fields. Stop saying, I'm stuck. I don't know who I am. Everything's falling apart. Start saying, I'm listening. I'm dissolving what's not mine. I'm remembering what's real. You're not lying. You're rewiring because the body listens to repetition, not logic. These practices are not meant to make the shift easier. They're meant to help you survive it with integrity, to hold your shape, to remember your rhythm, to give your soul room to finish what it started without dragging you back into the noise. You don't have to be strong right now. You just have to stay. You made it. Not just to the end of a video, but through another layer of yourself falling away. And maybe you still don't know what's next. Maybe the silence hasn't broken yet. Maybe the clarity hasn't landed. That's okay. This phase of your life isn't about action. It's about alignment. And alignment isn't something you reach. It's something you return to. Moment by moment, choice by choice, breath by breath. The fact that you resonated with this transmission means you're already in motion, already exiting the old frequency, already opening to a new one. So now, the only thing that matters is this. Can you stay steady as what's not you dissolves? Can you resist the urge to rebuild too soon? Can you honor the version of you that doesn't want to be seen, only felt, because that version isn't lost? It's true, and it's rising slowly through the silence. You're not waiting, you're widening, creating room inside your system for a kind of presence that doesn't need proof. That's embodiment, not performance, not intensity, just resonance. And that resonance, it speaks louder than anything you could ever say. If something opened in you, anchor it. Drop a sentence below. What part of you is collapsing? What clarity just landed? What truth are you choosing, quietly, starting now? Your words don't just express, they stabilize the field. For you, and for everyone else who finds this space after you. Share this message with someone who's floating between versions of themselves. Not for content, for continuity. And subscribe if this space feels like home, because this isn't a channel, it's a field. And every time you return, you remember a little more of who you actually are. So don't rebuild yet. Just rest here, in what's real, in what's left, in what was never supposed to leave you to begin with. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just becoming. And this right here is what it looks like when you finally stop rushing and start remembering.